This is our destiny. We about to lift our community so we can be all around the world. Yeah, we gon' be all around the world, all around the world, going all around the world. Yeah, we gon' be all around the world, all around the world, going all around the world. We building wealth, leaving legacy. This is our destiny. We about to lift our community so we can be all around the world. Yeah, we gon' be all around the world, all around the world, going all around the world. Yeah, we gon' be all around the world, all around the world, going all around the world. We building wealth, leaving legacy.
Hello, welcome family and friends to the SOS show. This is Hot Topic Tuesday. Hot Topic Tuesday on the SOS show. We always trying to bring you content that's going to motivate, inspire, and uplift you. I would like to welcome this evening a special guest from the South Side of Chicago, Aaron Smith.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing, Miss Mary?
You say we're from the South Side?
From the South Side of Chicago. That's right. Born and raised. How you doing?
I'm good. You know, Chicago gives me a lot of love. Salute to Chicago, a lot of love.
It's a lot of love here in the city. Despite what you may see on the news, it's definitely here.
You know, it's been proven. It's been proven. For real, for real. And I really appreciate that. And I want to say thank you to everyone in Chicago for the love that you show for the SOS show. Aaron, I've been following you for a minute now.
Yeah, likewise.
Very closely. Boy, I'm telling you, you have really made some power moves in a very little time, you know?
Yeah, glory to God on that one.
Yes, that tells me you're aggressive, and so am I. So I sort of seem to follow people that I see are aggressive. We think like we move real fast, you know, don't let nothing stop us. We keep going. So salute to you, brother.
That could be a gift and a curse.
You can say that again. But today, I wanted to bring you on the show because I'm so excited to collaborate with you. When you can find people of color coming together to collaborate, my show is only 9 months old and your show is fairly new. How long you been doing Escaping with the Odds podcast?
Since December of 2019. So about, what's that, 8 months?
About 8 months.
Yeah, about 8 months.
Yeah, we both shy of a year and we've made some power moves. We had over 2.5 million views, 65,000 followers. Wow. And, you know, I make connection and networking with different people, celebrities, some not, but we are our own celebrities. So I don't just get excited because of the word celebrity, because I feel like all of us are a celebrity,
no doubt,
including you.
Definitely,
and we are going to collaborate from Pontiac, Michigan, collaborating on the South Side of Chicago, meaning we're going to do whatever it takes to help each other grow in our business, elevate, inspire, and motivate others to do the same. So we will be cross-marketing material and our contacts. You know, that's a beautiful thing when we begin to realize that collaboration is king. So I would like for you to tell the audience a little about yourself. How did you come up with the podcast, Escaping the Odds? We know a lot. You talk about, you have a lot of interviews, people that have been in the penitentiary. Tell me how it started. Tell me your back life and how did you end up where you're at now, please?
Yeah, I grew up on the South Side of Chicago. Mid 90s. It's kind of like my coming of age, kind of a era, if you will. Southside Chicago, impoverished, of course, gang, drug culture was the norm. You know, I didn't participate in the gang part of that culture, but I was involved with the drug culture of that. But at the same time, I value education because my background, my family, they value education, right? Despite us living in the worst kind of conditions, I knew that education was a way out. But at the
Okay.
same time, on the outside of those doors was also the drug culture, the fast life, the money, everything that kind of came with that. And so, although I was going to school, I also fell into that kind of a lifestyle where I started off selling marijuana, which to me is like the gateway drug for any hustler, right? Just like when someone's smoking marijuana, a lot of times they call that the gateway drug and to actually use a harder drug. Well, for me, I never really used drugs, but I was addicted to the fast life, to the money. And so it started off with marijuana, eventually went to cocaine, and then eventually I had started selling heroin. And with that, it kind of changed the game for me um, and sent me to federal prison for 12 years. Well, I got sentenced to 12 years. I ended up doing a little bit over 9 years as a first time offender. I was 26 years old. I came home in in August of 2018, left the halfway house in February of 2019. And so it's been roughly about 18 months since I've been out of custody. And so this idea of escaping the odds came from while I was incarcerated. I was in federal prison. I had the opportunity to be around a lot of men who were successful, whether it was successful in the streets, because I look at that as a business too. You're just selling the wrong product.
Yeah.
And also as well, legitimate businesses as well. Maybe they did mortgage fraud or some kind of fraudulent situation, but yet they still had the knowledge of business. And I always had an affinity for entrepreneurship. And so I would gravitate to these men no matter what color they were. And I would sit down and just chop it up with them about like business as a whole, you know. I had got a business degree, so I knew the vernacular. You know, I could speak the language, you know what I mean? I come from the streets where I was hustling, making a decent amount of money, running the operation. So it was a similarity. Like, again, it was just a different product, the wrong product I was selling. And so what ended up happening was I was sitting thinking and talking to a lot of people. And I said, man, you know, the world has no idea the kind of men that I am here, father, with the stories and the business sense and all of that. I said, so when I go home, I want to make sure that I highlight these men because
Okay.
yeah, I wanted to highlight them. And so just to be able to show society or change the narrative of what people may think of someone who's incarcerated. And so when I came home, I kind of was doing something else for a while and just really procrastinating on following my dream, what God had given me. And so eventually, long story short, I ended up finding a location where I could do the podcast. And like once I took one step, everything else was kind of falling in place. And so here I am today with Escaping the Odds podcast. Well, I like to call it Escaping the Odds Media because we're going into other different things more so than just a podcast. So that's pretty
And
much where it started from.
and you know, you do some great interviews and some great topics. So I'm really excited to collaborate with you. So you said your first offense you did 12 years.
Yeah, I got sentenced to 12 years and I ended up doing like 9 years, 5 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you were in the when you were locked down, you were already thinking of what can I start once I get out. So did you come up with the name in the when you were locked up or once you came home?
No, actually, once I came home, it was called something else. Behind the wall, it was something like that. And so, but when I came home, actually, this was like my second idea because I was into technology. I thought that was the lane I wanted to go into was like technology. Now, mind you, I didn't know anything about mobile applications because I was incarcerated during that kind of a phase when all that stuff came out. But I had did so much reading where I was like, I was out, I was free as it relates to like my intellect. You know,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
wasn't captivated or locked up. So I constantly read every day. And so I was kind of up on news and technology and all that. So I
Okay.
thought that was the direction I was going. And when I came home, I kind of worked on that. Really didn't have the funding like I needed to kind of handle it, and got discouraged with it, right? And so,
Yeah.
but I also had this idea that I was passionate about, and so it allowed for me to to blend both of my passions of entrepreneurship, but then
Okay.
also like prison reform. You know what I mean? Again, going back to what I said, I wanted to change the narrative of what people think of someone who has been incarcerated. And so with this, it allows for my personal life, because this is my backstory as well, being incarcerated for so long, but then also blend in my personal life as well, my business and personal life. So it runs together.
Okay, I have a question for you. I've always had a passion as well for individuals that was incarcerated because it hits my family very closely. My brother did quite a few years as well. You know, we came from a very great household, but he always told us, because sometimes as a parent, you think, where did I fail? What could I have did differently? And he told us one day, it was nothing nobody could have did. That's the road that I chose.
Yeah.
And he also feels like we all have a path and we must go down that path that's chosen from us, because he has now been out approximately 8 years. I had a trucking company when he came out. Matter of fact, I had stopped running the company, and I wanted him to come home to something that could, he was used to making a fast, good money. You know how that goes, something that would could keep him busy. And the penitentiary allowed us to send him books. So he studied for a whole year, came right out, passed the CDL license with flying colors, and he was so excited. I
Yeah.
told him, you should have passed. You didn't have nothing to do with
Right.
study. So he has now, he's hauling vehicles. He's doing car hauling and have 2 trucks rolling now. So
Yeah.
I know what it's like when you have been locked up and when you come home, people don't want to give you a chance. I wanted to ask you, is there programs out there that, because sometimes things out there we're not aware of, anything that you're aware of. I was trying to see how I could come up with a some type of nonprofit where when they're released, if they are entrepreneurs or they come, because there's so many talented, when I say talented people in the
So talented.
penitentiary. I have seen things like a girlfriend of mine's son is in there. I mean, artists, they doing
Yeah.
music, they making belts, they tattooing the art that they
Yeah.
do. Is there anything out there that you're aware of that when they come home, they can get help and help them pursue that entrepreneur dream? Is there anything that you're aware of that's out there?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of different resources as it relates to entrepreneurship. When I came home, that was part of my like professional development. You know, I knew I needed to kind of hop in some kind of an entrepreneurial kind of environment, you know, so I can kind of keep that hunger, right? I didn't want to get out here and get sidetracked. And so I
Yeah.
know I need to build up my social capital. And so with that building up my social capital, I have found a organization. I'm gonna shout them out. It's called PERC, Pathways Enterprises for Returning Citizens. They're out of Chicago, and
Okay. Say that name again. Say it slowly and say it again. We won't put it up.
it's called PERC. The acronym is P as in Paul, E as in Edward, R as in Rachel, C as in cat, and the acronym is like Pathways for Entrepreneurs and Returning Citizens, something like that.
Okay. Okay.
And they're based out of Chicago, and I had started that program. That was like a 3-month program, 3 hours a day for 12 weeks. And it was really helpful. It kind of added to what I already had knew, of course, from business, from going to school, college, learning, you know, different business and stuff like that. But then also what I was learning on the street, just to keep it real with you all. So it was a culmination of all that. And it was really helpful, the program. I had learned about that program through another program called North Lawndale Employment Network. I shot them out as well. They're in Chicago, and they're like a re-entry kind of a job training kind of a thing. And so I knew I wanted to go in entrepreneurship. I didn't want to work. Well, no, I didn't want to work for anyone else. There's nothing wrong with working. I just didn't want to, you know, work for anyone else. So entrepreneurship was good for me. So to answer your question, definitely there's a host of opportunities out there in whatever city or state that you're in.
I think that's good to know, because they can come home, because we know that there's a lot of brilliant people that have made mistakes that are in the penitentiary. And it's a beautiful thing if they could come right home and hook up with some type of programs can help help them get their LLC or incorporation
Yeah.
EIN number, marketing. I'm gonna have to check that out for Michigan, because
Yeah, definitely.
might be a niche that's
yeah. We got to
for
collaborate. We got to collaborate on that for sure.
That's exactly. I would love to do that. Now, my next question to you is this. You have an amazing podcast that's going to be dropping today. And
Yeah.
I'm still a little confused from our conversation.
Yeah, I was confused when I first got the call.
you are going to be interviewing an inmate that's in prison doing an interview right now today, right? You
Yeah.
tell me how does that happen?
Well, I mean, I don't know I don't know how it happens from the A to Z, but long story short is that I met a gentleman online. His name is Pierre Baker, and he's probably watching. Pierre Baker, basically, he started an online marketing business from his jail cell. Right, all you need is a phone nowadays. Right, once you have a phone, you open it up to the world, and so pretty much he's able to actually to run a business that way. And yeah, really bright guy. Remind me a lot of myself. And the first time we talked, we spoke for about 2 hours straight, you know, because I kind of felt where he was coming from. I could hear the energy and ambition. And I was like, man, you're gonna go far once you get out. Like you're doing so much while in an unlikely situation. And so I had to get his story. So he's done interviews before. This is not like his first rodeo with interviews. So it's not like I'm putting him out there or whatever. It's like this is what he do, you know. And
No, it's amazing
yeah.
because I hear that people in the penitentiary have phones, but they really not supposed to have a phone, right?
I believe so in some cases, yeah.
In some cases. But I actually have a friend, her son's calls every day on this iPad. So I guess it depends on where you at and
Right.
you know, what's your situation. You know,
Definitely.
jails have really changed. Back in the day, my brother is in jail. We used to have those phone bills where I know a lot of people know about the $1,000 phone bills, all those collect calls. It's a whole different party now.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah, they got tablets now.
They have what?
They have tablets now and technology.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The tablet. That's they do.
Yeah.
They do. Which I think that if well, my one friend, her son either goes off campus to school 2 or 3 days before the pandemic. So
wow.
there's a work, you know, it's just amazing. So I just guess it all depends on your situation.
Can I repeat the name of that program?
Yes.
It's called PERC. P as in Paul, E as in Edward, R as in Robert, C as in cat.
Okay.
The PERC program. It's out of Chicago.
It's out of Chicago. Yeah. Now, so on most of your interviews, you are interviewing individuals that did time and came home and are now running successful businesses. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. And sometimes, like a couple of weeks ago, I had a gentleman on by the name of Larry Roberts. He runs a barber college inside of the Cook County Jail, which is like one of the biggest jails in the nation. So
what did you just say? He runs a what?
He runs a barber college. He's not an inmate. He's someone that goes inside the jail, but he offers free tuition to get your barber license. And it's like one of the only ones in the country, or at least very few that's in the country. And so I thought this story was inspiring. So oftentimes I'll bring somebody like that on that's really kind of helping this population with a skill set and kind of can change the hustle, switch the hustle a little bit.
Oh, that's so amazing. I have a question for you on a more personal level. You hear all the stories about when inmates are released and they come home, go to halfway house, they go right back. They can't find a job. Transportation is an issue. You know, it's so many different so many things that hold them back, right?
Right.
What could you say to families that are waiting for someone to come home that did 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years? Because, you know, so many things have changed in the world today. Yeah. Sometimes you hear about tough love. Sometimes we can love too much. We give too much. We could be a crutch. What would you say, in your opinion, what is the best thing that we could do for someone that returning that has been incarcerated, as far as the support system and things that we could have ready or prepared if they want to change and we believe in them?
Oh, definitely. That's an excellent question. I would say support, but to be more specific, like when he or she is asking for books and magazines and newspapers, anything that's pretty much going to develop them personally and professionally, like do what you can to get that to that person, right? Because sometimes in that institution, they may not offer some of these things that they're asking for. And so it's imperative that that they get that information, just so they can kind of, because you got to remember that these men and women, they have all day to study. I would literally read most of my day sometime, right? I read the Wall Street Journal, and mind you, I had never heard of the Wall Street Journal a day in my life until I went to prison. I read that for 8-9 years straight every day. You know what I mean? So it was a part of me doing my time, and I say that to say that you have to send in like educational material. You know, again, those books. For me, I would have rather had like educational materials than money, because in the place I was at, they gonna feed you. You know, they gonna give you three hots in the cot. So I wasn't worried about that. But my whole thing is I wanted to feed my mind, and so to make sure that you all are just sending the definitely the books, all the materials that a person would need to better themselves, and also like if they have children on the outside, like to try to keep that connection with their children as well. And you know, a lot of times families become fragmented because of the incarceration, right? You may not be able to see your child or whatever, and all that can play on the psyche of a person, right? And so that's very important too, keeping those relationships intact. What it mean, even if you gotta go get the grandchild or the daughter or whatever to, you know, to get that person on the phone, just, you know, do all those things to kind of really help that person's time go by as smoothly as possible.
That's some great information, seriously, because we know we have a comment. Excuse me, I'm gonna put on my glasses and read it. Timothy Stewart, great topic. It's hard, but it can be done. Living witness, keep up the good work. Absolutely, he said it's hard, but it can be done. I collaborate with Timothy out of Muskegon, Michigan. So you know, collaboration is king. So you'll definitely get an opportunity to meet him as well. Because I think together we could put together as a show and everybody eat.
I got so many ideas. Like I got so much stuff for you. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll do that, and in particular, discuss more of what can we do to put together a nonprofit program where we get them straight out of when they released, and we, you know, they could do an application with us. You know, we do some type of panel, and we decide which ones that we're going to help. And it's almost like Shark Tank. You know, Shark Tank, you pitch your business, but we can set up something where we pitch from inmates coming out of the penitentiary. I think that'd be hot.
Yeah, we gonna talk. Definitely.
Okay, cool.
We'll talk. Yeah.
We'll talk. Okay, so I would like for you to let the audience know where you can be reached, and then you're going to tell us about the podcast that we're getting ready to drop right after this interview. So give us a little insight about where everybody can come watch you when you're not on the SOS show.
Okay, definitely. Thank you for having me as well too. I could be reached. My podcast could be reached on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor.fm, pretty much anywhere where a podcast can be heard. I'm there. I just dropped my YouTube channel about 2-3 weeks ago, so that's available now. Escaping the Odds YouTube channel. I'm developing a website right now as we speak, so that should be launching like very soon, within the next week at the latest. That's escapingtheodds.com. That's pretty. In my Facebook, Escaping the Odds. My personal is IM_Aaron Smith. That's AARON Smith. And my Instagram, Escaping the Odds Podcast. I'm everywhere, Mary.
You are everywhere. You came out ready. You came out with nothing but ready.
Yes,
so I've been running my late night show. We've been talking about relationships. I'm gonna hit you with this before we get off. Being gone 9 years, did you find it hard being back out in the world and dating?
It wasn't. Yes and no. Yes and no. The yes part is pretty much it was just the way people interact and date, right? Everything was online, so kind of had to get used to that. You know what I mean? Oftentimes people text. I'm used to picking up the telephone and calling someone, right? So that communication is different now. You know what I mean? So you got to kind of get used to that. But for the most part, outside of that, I think people can kind of see the difference on you when you're coming out of those situations, and so I had a lot of that. But it's been going smooth.
It has.
Yeah. I'm not married yet, you know. So
Okay. You're
once
not
I
married.
find that like lucky young lady, you know, we'll lock it down.
All right. All right. I want to talk about visitations during the 9 years. You know, it's been certain times my brother didn't want us to visit. Then, you know, he went through those different periods. You
Yeah.
know, he's like, I just need to do this time. For you, did visitations, do you believe, helps a person or do time easily or not necessarily once a person come? Because when I used to go visit my brother, literally, sometimes it was 6, 7, 8 hours away up north.
Yeah.
I would be sad, depressed for the next couple of days. I would cry all the way back home.
Yeah.
So for me, it was horrible for me, but I went to visit for him. How is it? How do you feel about family coming to visit? Do you think the visitations, did it matter for you, or was it easy just not to see anybody, do your time, come home, talk a couple of days, a week, and come home?
Well, no, for me, I definitely wanted to visit. I was 8.5 hours away from Chicago. I was in a Minnesota prison, and so I understood that it wasn't always financially feasible, you know, to get those visits like that, right?
Right.
However, when I did get the visits, they were it was like a gift and a curse, right? Because for one, and this may sound crazy, but like it was a sense of anxiety a little bit because you haven't seen your family in 2 years or longer sometimes, right? And so you have
Right.
you have butterflies in your stomach, right? And so well, at least I would have butterflies in my stomach, and then you get up there and it's like you looking at your mom, you know, it's the woman that raised you, right? But yeah, at the same time, it's like it was kind of weird, you know what I mean? Because you haven't
Yeah.
seen them in a while, and it's like it's so many different emotions or whatever. And but
So many.
and for me, it was an escape. Once I went up there to that visiting room, as some people call it, the dance floor, go up there and you escape from the monotony of prison,
Okay.
all the politics of prison or whatever. It's like you can kind of let your head down because you're around your family. And then, of course,
Yes.
until everything warms up, you know what I mean? Again, if you haven't
Yes.
seen them in a while or whatever, you just kind of getting like back used to having a conversation and touching them,
Yes.
and you know all of the stuff that we take for granted on this side of the fence. And so, well, basically, yeah, it was just it could be a gift and a curse. And so I remember going back to my cell when the time was over. I was going like
We have
7.
about 40 seconds, so wrap
Okay.
that up. In this.
Okay. Yeah. So I remember going back to the cell and just like, man, you know, and realizing that it almost felt like surreal. You know what I mean? And so it was just,
Yes.
it's definitely a great experience. You definitely need those visits. Sometimes you'll go through your little emotions of where you feel like you don't want to see anybody or whatever,
Yes.
but you know, definitely
Yes.
go see your peoples.
Well, thank you so much for this interview.
Yeah.
We getting ready to drop your podcast.
Okay.
The gentleman, what is the name of the one that he's in prison? What is the name of your podcast coming up? Let the audience know right quick. What are
All
they
right.
getting ready to see?
Escaping the Odds podcast with Mr. P.F. Baker. Behind the Wall, this young man has started an online affiliate marketing business from behind the wall. There's no excuses for us. Entrepreneurial is financial freedom. So let's get it and check it out and continue to support. Thank you for having me on, Mary.
Thank you. And you have a great evening. We appreciate your support and love.
Okay, thank you.